special presentation of the new TNN. For Joey Clanton, what started out as a dream season may seem to be turning into a nightmare. As the year began in Lakeland, Florida, the driver of the blue and yellow number 83 declared his intention to surpass Johnny Saunders' 2001 season-long dominance of 10 wins and the national championship. So commanding was Clanton's presence that at one point in the season, his competitors were beginning to think that the only thing up for grabs was second place. Enter a strong dose of reality. Suddenly, what seemed to be effortless moments ago became impossible. Wherever the Georgia native looked, he found trouble. Some say it was when he drove off the track at Berlin that his fall from grace began. Others point to lacrosse, where he spun unassisted into the turn one wall. Regardless, by the time the last event at Madison, Wisconsin concluded, an event where that fabled 50-cent part cost him to sustain a 21-lap pit stop, his points lead had vanished, and he left the track number 2. Echoes of close but no cigar surely must have been crashing through his head. And the benefactor of Clanton's woes? A two-time champion who long ago learned the secret to racing success. Without a single 2002 win, Gary St. Amant had managed to run so consistently that he found himself perfectly positioned to assume the leadership role when opportunity came knocking. You might call St. Amant the tortoise to Clanton's hare. And we all remember what happened to that bouncing bunny, right? For his part, number 7 is not without regrets, as we witnessed at Salem, Indiana, when he narrowly missed taking his first checker of the year. But his overall performance, though not nearly as spectacular as Clanton's, is proving to be his road to success. Right now, he leads someone with 7 race victories by 28 points, a net gain of 195 in the last 7 races. Today, coming into the 14th event of the 20-race 2002 ASA Racing Series, the playing field is essentially level. It's go for broke against go for the gold, form versus function, the wisdom of a veteran campaigner against the infectious enthusiasm of youth. There will be a champion crowned soon, and the best part of it, you get to watch the championship chase here on TNN. Welcome to Toledo, Ohio, and one of the finest high-bank short tracks in the country. Toledo Speedway welcomes you to the Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300.
On behalf of the Northwest Ohio Metro Toledo Ford Dealers, I'd like to welcome all the race fans here, the ASA drivers, teams and officials, as well as all you folks out there in TNN, to Toledo Speedway and the ASA 300. Before we get this race underway, I'd like to ask the crowd here in Toledo, while the engines are still quiet, let's let these drivers know how much we appreciate them being here by answering this question. Hey, Toledo, you ready for some racing? All right, well then join me in the 4 words we've been waiting to hear. Gentlemen, start your engines!
Hello everyone, I'm Bob Dillner. My buddies Jim Trado and Brian Till will be on pit road today. My real buddy, Buddy Baker, he'll be up in the booth with us. He knows a thing or two about racetracks, especially this one, because it's changed.
Last year at Toledo, everybody was talking about a rough surface. They were talking about no grip in the corner. Well, they have good grip now because they repaved the racetrack here. It's 18 degrees and smooth at the baby's bottom. But you get higher than the groove right on the bottom of the racetrack, there's peeling on the brand new surface, and once you hit it, you're on your way to the wall.
Well, buddy, this track may be as smooth as a baby's bottom, but it's going to be a rough one today. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Butch Miller, his 3rd pole of the year. Joey Clanton right there alongside of him, 7 wins, but he's had some bad luck lately, and bad luck at this racetrack.
Joey Clanton's in a mid-season slump right now. 4 straight finishes of 10th or worse coming into this race at Toledo. Now, last year, Joey was involved in a very early race wreck, finished up in the 30th position. Joey, how do you plan on reversing your fortunes here today?
Well, I think they've done it. They reversed our fortune for ourselves. I mean, they've come in and paved the racetrack, changed it all together. We've got a fast race car, and hopefully we'll stay up front all day and try to win this thing.
Starting 5th, Mike Garvey. He hasn't won this year. Pat Kelly alongside. He hasn't won at all in ASA. Kyle Busch, he's 17. 20 for Jason Boyd. St. Amant, he's got more career starts than anybody.
It's taken 13 races for the steady driving Gary St. Amant to put his familiar number 7 to the top of the driver's points. Gary, what do you have to do to keep it there for the next 7 and claim this championship?
Well, Brian, we got to do the same thing that's kind of put us here. You know, week in and week out, you know, we strive for podium finishes. We'd like to get us a win, but just keep doing the same thing. That's the key to our success.
13th, Chris Wimmer. 14th, David Stremme. 1 win and 7 straight podium finishes. Ed Brown, man, he has been running very well here this week, looking for a good run.
Full-time campaigner Ed Brown out of Leesburg, Florida, has high hopes this weekend. Ed, you start 17th. What do you expect to see in the race today?
Well, I expect to see a long green and hopefully a good top 10 finish thanks to our new Howell chassis. We're running real good today.
21st, Russ Tuttle. 22nd, Greg Stewart. 8th, a couple weeks ago in Madison, Wisconsin. Tim Taylor, 17-year-old Casey Smith, Brett Rowe, and Doug Malik. And how about fellow Wisconsinite to Doug Malik, Steve Carlson, giving us something to talk about.
2 weeks ago in Madison, Steve Carlson started dead last, had the drive of the race, and ended up winning that event. Steve, not quite dead last today, but still a long way to go. Can you repeat?
I'm going to sure try. We have a real good car. This is a real nice track. It's fast, it's smooth, 2 good grooves. We're going to try.
Look how far back Steve Carlson is in this field. Way back. Chris Cole rounds out the field, but we will watch Steve Carlson's march to the front. We will be back with the Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300 for the ASA Racing Series in a moment. Coverage of the 2002 ASA Racing Series Championship is being brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires. Take control. Lots of history here in Toledo, Ohio, including this, Fort Meigs. The historic fort was built to protect the Maumee River in the War of 1812, which involved the U.S., the British, and the Indians. Today, Toledo, well, Tony Paco's. That's a very famous restaurant serving some of the best hot dogs on the planet. And a bunch of famous people have their signed hot dog buns on the wall. Toledo, also home to the Mud Hens, one of the most famous franchises in minor league baseball. Today, we're in Toledo. We mentioned St. Amant Clanton battling for the title, but this is more than a 2-horse race. That's the subject of today's BF Goodrich Tires Point of View.
To win championships in ASA or any other division, it takes a lot of momentum and a lot of good finishes. David Stremme this year, 7 times he's had podium finishes. He's been second place 5 times. 1 win at Salem. If anybody has momentum going into the end of this year, it has to be David Stremme. I pick him to be our champion. Jim Trado.
Well, Buddy Baker, one driver that's been able to accomplish the championship here in ASA was 1997 Series champ Kevin Sawinski. One thing he has going for him, strong finishes. One of the 5 ASA race winners this season. He's 4th in points, not out of the hunt by any means. Case in point, how strong this team is. Last race in Madison, they assessed the ignition problem. They came from the back of the field twice to claim a 4th place position, 1 spot off the podium. They are certainly in the hunt. Brian Till.
Another driver that was picked as a championship contender at the beginning of the season was the driver of the number 63 car, Robbie Pyle. And even though they got off to a slow start, the last 9 races have yielded 5 top 5 finishes, 9 top 10 finishes, and 2 pole positions. They're only 214 points back in the championship, and even if he doesn't win it, he'll play a role. He's a contender every weekend. Bob Dillner.
An X factor in the whole spoiler equation is the 04 car of Butch Miller, and that is because he is not running for points. He's won 3 of the 6 races he's entered this year, and when he finishes 5th like he did in Madison, Wisconsin a couple weeks ago, he's not a happy guy. And that's today's BFG POV. Hey, Jim Trado, this is a tough pit road, isn't it?
It's weird, Bob. It's unique to Toledo Speedway. The crews have to get the cars wound down. The drivers are 35 miles an hour. They go up, and down this big hill. It's going to be hard for Chad Wood in the first couple of pit stalls, but it's also a narrow pit road all the way through. Brian Till?
Well, that's right, Jim. It's not just hard at the way in. Right here in the middle of the corner, it's very narrow in here. I'm standing where the Jackman would be on Joey Miller's car. Doesn't leave a lot of room to the outside. And to make matters worse, pit lane slopes down and then back up a hill. Very hard to snake your way through here, especially during race conditions.
Buddy Baker, Brian, and Jim, speaking about this pit road, it is pretty tough.
It is tough, and it's very narrow. These guys really, I think it could wreck the cars a lot quicker on pit road than they do on the racetrack.
Can Carlson do it again?
Absolutely. He's the type of race car driver. He's a winner, and he knows that he was second quickest in the last practice yesterday. He can absolutely do it.
Steve Carlson starts 29th, but Butch Miller is on the pole. Hold on to your lug nuts. It's time to go racing. The field of 33 whiz by the camera, and there's the battle. Joey Clanton on the outside of Butch Miller.
And that's something they couldn't do last year. Side by side, Joey Clanton inches ahead as they come by the start-finish line. Those points are valuable to Joey Clanton. He leads now by a little bit down the back straightaway. Butch Miller just behind him. Robbie Powell to 63, that red car in third.
Joey Clanton not in the point lead for the first time this year. 28 markers behind Gary St. Amant coming into this race. Robbie Pyle and Kevin Sawinski, that battle for third heating up.
Kevin Sawinski in that one car trying to stay right on that white line, now using a little bit higher, getting out, trying to roll off the corner there. And Pat Kelly in that 63 doing very well, Bob.
Pat Kelly has run so strong, an independent team here at ASA, sort of a rookie team, and they are running very well. He's had a couple of top 10 finishes, but some bad luck. Running well here today, going to the outside of Kevin Sawinski.
Yeah, and that's a nice sight because they can run 2 by 2 around here. Last year, impossible. The racetrack was very worn out, and they had to run right on the bottom of the racetrack. There's 2 grooves this year.
Pyle third, Sawinski fourth, and Pat Kelly fifth. Steve Carlson, that man in the drop Arctic number 36, battling with Big John Silverthorne in the 8 car. Carlson is up to the 28th spot. Brian Till.
Well, I just checked with John Binky. I said, are you going from last to front again? He said, man, I don't know. I'm not sure we have the same car that we had the last weekend that we did that. I said, what happened in qualifying? He says, we're not really sure. We've made some adjustments to the car. We'll have to just run in and see.
Trouble for Steve Carlson. He gets into it with John Silverthorne and some major damage, buddy.
Hit the outside wall, glanced off it, into the inside there. A lot of damage to that car. Steve Carlson, he might have won last week, but I'll tell you right now, that car is damaged.
He is not going to win this week. Looks like some damage on that race car. The Phillips 66, number 36, as Tom Powell waves the yellow flag for the first time today. The heartbreaker for Steve Carlson, who, as we mentioned, came from the back of the pack to first 2 weeks ago at Madison, Wisconsin, will not do it here today. Lap number 7, there's your top 10. We'll be back in a moment for more here at Toledo Speedway. Steve Carlson, wiping the sweat from his brow, climbs out of the Trop Arctic number 36. Let's see what happened, buddy.
John Silverthorne just got a little bit sideways and got up into Carlson there, and you can see right there the car out of control. He spins to the inside there, comes to rest on the V8 as they come off turn 4 there. He stops right on the inside, but you can see right there John Silverthorne just pushed him up into that loose stuff on the high side, and the car was damaged enough that he couldn't regroup, and he spun around on the inside. He's not in the points race. I doubt he'll come back out.
Spoke to Steve Carlson this morning. He told me this is what he was worried about. He was very quick yesterday in practice, but had some trouble during qualifying. Did not want to start that far back in the field. As you can see, the boys on that car, John Benke and the guys of that crew, just taking a look at things. Brian Till, what do you got?
Well, the car definitely has a lot of left front damage. Steve, part of the problem with starting so far back, obviously, he's got to fight your way to the front, but looks like a knockout punch today.
Yeah, she's all done for the day.
A bad car in the race? Did you have a car that was going to get to the front? You just trying to bide your time to get there?
Well, we were starting out a little tight, but I think that the car was going to get better. You know, we were going to make some changes on our first pit stop.
Well, obviously, this man ran a great race at Madison. He has the ability to do it, but sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you, guys.
Steve Carlson, very to the point, buddy, because you could see what happened.
Yeah, and this happens. You see the 8 car got sideways there, got into him. He almost had it straightened up. Then he ran into Silverthorne as he was trying to correct to get the car back straight. And this is the end results where he just spins off into the infield.
Frustrating, especially when you're a guy just going for the win. Big John Silverthorne, a dynamite guy, but Steve Carlson looking over the damage to that Don Finetti-owned car, and there is some pretty big damage to that. You see John Silverthorne out on the track.
Well, he got very little damage because he slid up and Carlson ran into him, but the 8 car is going to go right on.
Silverthorne, a full-time competitor here in ASA, and we are watching him trying to march his way through the field, but obviously got loose and got into Steve Carlson. At the front of the field, though, the man that's been at the front of the field a lot this year, Joey Clanton.
Yeah, he had a lot of help up there. That 04 Butch Miller was all over the back of the 83.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I think worth pointing out, you said Steve Carlson just wants to go for the win. Well, remember when he did it at Madison, he took points away from Joey Clanton, Gary St. Amant, and those guys. So this could actually have ramifications in the championship. This is a guy that could have taken points away from those guys. Kind of leaves it back to mano a mano between those guys up front, don't you think?
Exactly.
No question about that, and you've touched on that before because Butch Miller's a spoiler also. He's not running for points.
Certainly Butch Miller, a spoiler indeed, with 3 wins this year already. Kyle Busch has been running very well as of late. In fact, he's moved up to 8th in points. He's running 9th out here today. You know what? There's some interesting individuals here in ASA, including some guys on the 017.
Here in the Roush Yoda Racing Pit with driver Kyle Busch, very few crew members enjoy their job as much as Ray Clemens. He gets to don the red suit every weekend and fuel up this sled. And Ray, I guess got to ask you, what do you enjoy most about your job?
I love the adrenaline rush of gassing this car in 15 seconds, and I hope everybody gets their job done so we can get him on his way.
Now, Ray, has anyone ever said you look like somebody famous?
Oh, what you talking about?
Perhaps with Ray's help, this team could get a Christmas present early, a win here at Toledo.
Ray Clemens, a darn good guy. You know, the funny thing is, I said, hey, Ray, you got the beard and everything. Do you play Santa during Christmas time? He says, no. I said, well, you know, why the beard? He goes, I sell Christmas trees around the winter time, and I dress up as Santa around then to try to help sell the trees a little bit. Brian?
Bill? John Silverthorne's crew chief is truck lying. A truck, you've been on the series a long time. Has John said anything about his race car? Has it been damaged at all early on here?
No, it didn't get damaged at all. We just got together with Carlson and took off a valve stem, flattened the right front tire. Car's okay. John says the car drives fine, all right. Royal Purple Monte Carlo is ready to run the rest of the race.
Of course, that was Jim Trado, not Brian Till, down there with Trucker, the crew chief for the number 8 car of Big John Silverthorne. Just in front of him is Dave Sensiba in the 70 car, making his return to ASA once again. Joey Clanton at the head of this field. Here's the replay, buddy. Big John into the number 36 for Big Steve Carlson. He goes around, his day is done, but he will return to ASA to try to wreak havoc on all the regulars once again. We'll have more from Toledo, Ohio in a moment. A very important installation as the War of 1812 spread west was Fort Meigs. This is where General William Henry Harrison helped turn the tide of the war by turning back the British and the Indians in 1813. Help turning the tide here today at Toledo Speedway is Butch Miller. We mentioned, oh wow, Butch Miller in the lead, but Joey Miller, no relation there, is in the inside wall as the 3rd caution of the day is out here at Toledo Speedway. Joey Miller had qualified so well in the top 10. Buddy Baker and I were just mentioning how the Great Clips 51 was running really well in the top 10, but he's taking out the Tecumseh sign.
Yeah, and you can see some black marks there where somebody else was involved with the spin that he had.
We mentioned that Butch Miller is your leader. We're going to show you how he got by jamming Joey Clanton in the Campfire USA 83. Here it is, buddy.
Joey Clanton on the outside there fighting back. They ran a full lap side by side here, trying to decide who really wanted it the most. You can see the 83 there of Clanton on the outside, but Miller powers off turn 4, takes the lead away. And I tell you, Butch Miller does not do this very often. That means that race car is great. You can see Miller now getting in trouble there all by himself, loses the back, spins around down the back straightaway into the inside wall hard, takes out some sponsorship too as he goes.
Yeah, the Tecumseh sign there. Looks like 17-year-old Joey Miller just checked up with Mike Garvey in front of him, and he doesn't look too happy, buddy.
No, well, anytime you lose the car by yourself, you'd rather somebody bump you than lose it like that.
Joey Miller's a tough cookie, though. He will be back to fight in ASA once more. Joey Clanton, smart move, fell back into second because Butch Miller looks like he might have the better car at this point of this 300-lap race. But how about Joey Clanton? Lady Luck has not shined on the 83 boys lately.
Every member of Joey Clanton's team is running for the championship. Case in point at Madison International Speedway, this crew member, Jody Wilkerson, physically sprinted across the infield at that half mile a couple of times to salvage a part they didn't have on their toolbox. One thing they have, a lot of spare parts of what exactly they needed. In this toolbox, they've got the snap rings that they ended up a 50-cent part. They've got 5 or 6 of these now. The fuel regulator, they've got 8 of those. They've got a checklist they go through every race morning and check off item by item to make certain they have everything squared away. This team is very prepared, and to ensure they're more prepared for a failure like that snap ring that goes right here, they've got even another one, just in case, right here along the side. So Joey Clanton's team even more prepared for the championship chase.
Buddy, that was just a weird thing that happened 2 weeks ago in Madison, Wisconsin.
A 50-cent piece, it never breaks, and it broke that time, and they didn't have a spare. It might have been the only part on that car that they didn't have a spare for. They have it now.
After that race, the entire team pretty down when something like that happens. Joey Clanton was down, but since then, Steve Dale, the car owner, has told me these guys have rebounded. They have been very enthusiastic in that shop, and they are ready to rebound and go for another win. Brian Till?
Well, Joey Miller, a great job in qualifying. You've been fast all weekend long, but it seems like maybe a little rumble strip problem got you?
Yeah, I got a little impatient, a little dumb, and I should have just waited and not kind of been risky and went down there, I guess. I mean, I did a couple times, and I knew it got loose. It just kind of, this is my fault. I was just kind of a little stupid about it. So, I don't know. Ain't nothing to be mad about. I mean, we had a good running car. The Gray Clips car was really going good, but I don't know, just rookie mistakes, I guess.
I think it takes a lot of maturity on this young man's part to admit that he made a mistake. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him later. Bob?
Man, you are absolutely right, Brian, because he did admit he might have made a mistake down there, but that kid will be a force to be reckoned with here in ASA before too long. Look at the packed house here at Toledo Speedway, the Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300. We got a lot more racing when we come back. We are back here at Toledo Speedway for the Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300. How about that name?
Wow, it's long enough, huh?
A long pit stop for Rick Beebe. Plug wire problems for him. Joey Miller hit the inside retaining wall. He's out of the race. Butch Miller is your leader. That pretty much recaps everything to this point. Joey Clanton in second, buddy.
Check this. Greg Stewart he's been moving up through the field. Had a lot of problems yesterday in practice, but he is flying today.
The Hanchett Manufacturing number 33 running very well. And you know what? He had a great run a couple weeks ago. Good run for Greg Stewart and the boys.
In ASA, summer means racing weekends, back to back to back. Well, there's a weekend off between Madison International Speedway for Greg Stewart and his team and the series, and here at Toledo. Greg, how'd you end up spending your weekend off?
Well, Jim, we thought about going to Kenley and racing some late model racing this weekend, but we all needed some R&R. So my cousin came in from San Diego in the military, and we spent the weekend down at the beach and had some fun. And I think my crew chief Eddie had a baby shower this weekend, and Ken and the guys, they just had some relaxation. But it's been no day at the beach this weekend. We've had problems with the car all day during practice and didn't qualify well.
This team was riding high after an 8th place finish at Madison. Their only track time yesterday was in qualifying due to a problem, and they're hoping their experience on the high banks pays off for them today with a good finish.
Well, they are hoping for a good run, running 18th right now on the racetrack, and our director, Gary Clem, just said to real racers go to baby showers, as Eddie Stanley, the crew chief, did last week?
Yeah, no quiche.
You have to do it. If the lady says so, as Teresa, his fiance, did last week, you gotta go. We're gonna get back to green flag action here in a moment. Craig Stewart, a great run for him at Madison, and an 8th place finish.
Yeah, and yesterday he was on jack stands nearly all the way through all 3 practices because of bad transmission.
He had a lot of troubles, did the body balance team here yesterday. Danny Fredrickson, well, he's 6th out there, and the Great Clips team having a pretty darn good run. And you know, Danny Fredrickson, he's had quite the shakeup on that race team, but he has handled it very, very well.
Dan Fredrickson's appetite has been well documented throughout this season, but he also has a keen appetite for competition. The guy's running 2nd in rookie points, but some changes in the team in the middle of the season have led to some changes for you, Dan. You're actually spending a lot of time working on the car at the shop, almost chief cook and bottle washer with your 15-year-old little brother.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to kind of being the leader of the pack, and take a few weeks to get back in the swing of things. It's a lot of hard hours, but hey, Pete's having a real job.
Well, like I said, he certainly has an appetite for competition, but as for David, his little brother, I think he's got some work to do to keep up with Big Dan.
Yeah, David's got a long way to go to catch up to his big boy brother, Danny Fredrickson, but the guy with an appetite for speed is Butch Miller, and maybe Kevin Sawinski. He's pressuring on Joey Clanton for 2nd.
Kevin Sawinski, the 3rd place car there, that number 1, able to stay way down low on the racetrack through the corners, lower than the 83 of Clanton. I think he may be handling just a little bit better, and he might use the chrome horn here because he's getting awfully close to the center part of the corner.
Kevin Sawinski in that Texas Roadhouse number 1. What's up, Brian Till?
Well, I just talked to Mike Chaffee. I said, it looks like you put a good car underneath him. He said, yeah, it's a little loose on the way in. He's kind of complaining about it a little bit. He's not screaming yet. They'll make a track bar adjustment when they do come in for a stop, try to settle that car down at the entry a little bit. But it looks to me like it's working pretty good, guys.
Oh, heck, running really good, because here comes the Texas Roadhouse number 1 on the inside of Joey Clanton.
I'd get a hammer after somebody if they wanted to work on my car if it was sticking like that in the center part of the corner. He just put Joey Clanton away on the low side of the racetrack. The number 1 car may be the fastest car on the speedway right now.
You heard about Brian Till speaking with Mike Chaffee about what they're going to do that race car. A track bar adjustment. What's that going to do?
Well, they're trying to tighten it up. When they say the car is loose, they mean the back of the car is sliding out. It's not getting the grip on the back tires that it needs, and it's trying to come around on them. When they say that the car is too tight, it's not drinking, folks. It's actually pushing the front end of the car towards the outside wall. That is pushing.
And right there, the number 11 Meyer machine. David Stremme started 14th. He is already up to the 8th spot, 46 laps down, and the caution is out again. Ed Brown. Oh, bad luck for him, buddy.
Ed Brown, the car does not look damaged that much, so it looks like it just got up there against the outside wall. I can't see any real damage to the car.
A brand new Hound chassis car for Ed Brown, and we're going to take a look at what happened, why he went around there in the corner.
Ed Brown got up in the loose stuff that I talked about earlier today. You see the left rear got in there a little bit, but that's behind the running gear. But it's back there where you put fuel in the car. Now, hopefully it didn't do any damage back there, so they can fuel the car later on.
You can see that part of the body is damaged, but not too bad, buddy.
And the other thing, the spoiler's bent down on the left rear corner back there. That could hurt.
Well, there is Dennis Moore, gas man for Robbie Pyle's Citgo team. He's hoping for a good run for Robbie Pyle and the boys today, but he's got to get by Clanton, Sawinski, and Miller. Here's what happened during the first 50 laps of the Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 333 cars start this race. Butch Miller on the pole with the Dominator. Joey Clanton on the outside pole. Trouble for the last winner in ASA, John Silverthorne, into the Trop Arctic 36 for Steve Carlson, and some major damage to the front end of that number 36 car. Then Butch Miller's on the rampage. The ASI Limited 04 to the inside of Joey Clanton. You know what? He's got the lead. Then Joey Miller coming off of turn number 2, tries to get underneath Mike Garvey. Oh no, he goes around and into some signage and the wall in turn number 3. Sawinski is on the move in the Great Clips number 1. He goes to the inside of Joey Clanton and gets the 2nd spot. Look out for that machine because Kevin Sawinski is on the move. And then a tough break for the guy we spoke to in the open, Ed Brown, hoping for a top 10 run. Not going to get it. He has been on pit road to repair that car, Buddy Baker. Kevin Sawinski, oh boy, Sawinski's got the lead by Butch Miller. Joey Clanton in 3rd. Here it is.
Let's take a look. Sawinski able to stay right on that white line around the bottom, draws even with Butch Miller. Butch Miller, being a smart old veteran, backs off, gives Sawinski the racing line, drops back down low, and he's checking him out now to check him, see how tough he is.
Here is the full field rundown. Kevin Sawinski leading, of course, Mike Garvey, the tough guy, in 5th. Fredrickson in 6th. Gary St. Amant way back in the 12th spot, not moving through the field as quick as he wanted. Greg Stewart, 16th. Chad Wood having a pretty good run, 15th in the Wisconsin Dells Motor Speedway number 2. Peter Consolino in the McDonald's 44 way back there. Ed Brown, we mentioned he spun just a moment ago. He is in the back too, and caution on the field. Joel Kaufman, the 16-year-old, into the wall.
Boy, and I tell you, that car has some damage to the left rear corner. They'll have to work on it quite a bit. Kaufman backed her hard into that outside wall.
Here is what happened. You could see maybe a little contact with Tim Taylor, and boom.
Bob, that was more than just casual contact there. He got whacked going in the corner there. Tim Taylor got into it. Kaufman was along for the ride after that.
Tough break for the LA West number 40 team. Jim Trado.
Well, they've had a tough weekend, guys. Joel Kaufman has high hopes here this weekend. He runs a series around the Midwest, the Sunoco Super Series. He's leading their points. He won his first series race here at Toledo and ran here just 2 weeks ago and finished 5th. They came in this weekend. He was involved in a practice accident. They knocked the nose off the car. Now you can see the damage to the rear of the number 40 LA West Chevy. He's a 16-year-old youngster. He's got a veteran crew led by Scott Hansen, but boy, they had a long weekend, getting a little bit longer now.
They have. They wrecked the front end of the car and now the rear end of the car of the LA West 40 team here this weekend.
And Kaufman was just trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack, and Tim Taylor was there, and they made contact. I didn't mean to sound like Tim Taylor does anything like that on purpose, but he was there, and down comes Kaufman, getting in the corner, and Tim didn't back off and got him in the left rear corner.
Technical director Joe Balish taking a look at that car, and you spoke around the racetrack, especially that section of the racetrack in the open here today. We could see some problems, more problems brewing there.
Yeah, once you get out of the groove, you're pretty well gone to the wall. So the one thing about new pavement, you get great grip, but once you leave that part of the racetrack you run on, you're on a lot of gravels and different things that peel off the track.
Gary St. Amant, we mentioned, well, he's running 12th, but not moving through the field as he had hoped. He said this has been a trouble for him this weekend, and you know what? He's had some run-ins with David Stremme this year, good buddies, but may owe him some money.
At the race in Salem, David Stremme and Gary St. Amant got together while St. Amant was leading. Stremme took the victory. St. Amant went back to 3rd. And Gary, you figure that cost you how much money?
Well, David made $21,000 and I made $6,000, so that was $15,000.
Well, a couple of weeks later at the race in Madison, Stremme and St. Amant got together once again late in the race. But after the race, David made it clear to Gary, nothing intentional, no harm, no foul. And Gary actually gave you a little credit on your bill, David.
Yeah, he told me he took $3,000 off, but, you know, I've kind of figured it wasn't enough. So we'll have to see what goes on.
Well, so Gary, the way I have it figured, he still owes you $12 grand. So you expect on the last lap here for him to pull over, let you drive by, and have the victory, right?
I know that put a big dent in that $12,000.
I can write him a check, you know, give him a credit card or something. We can take care of this now, because I'm not going to pull over.
You know that David Stremme is not going to pull over, and Gary St. Amant wouldn't either.
The whole idea is to win races, not to pull over.
Stremme there. In fact, in victory lane after that race, Gary St. Amant pulled me over and said, "Bob, I want to talk to you." And Stremme told me if he wins the championship, he'll give Gary St. Amant a portion of his winnings. Brian Till.
Well, I'm standing here with Joel Kaufman, and obviously a very disappointed driver. Significant damage to the rear end of this car, especially the left rear. And Joel, You guys had a pretty good qualifying position and looked like a decent race car underneath it. What happened?
Yeah, we had a pretty good car. We had some buildup on the front grille there and was cutting power a little bit. But, we were going to ride it out to the first pit stop and get that cleaned off so we could get going. But, unfortunately, we got bumped a little bit going into one and shortened our day. So I guess we'll come back to get him at Winchester.
Well, it sounds like bumped a little bit, maybe an understatement. But, he's got a guy named Scott Hansen working with him. This kid's going to be good.
Scott Hansen with 26 career victories of his own here in ASA. Operates that car and takes care of that car during the week. But we're back to green flag action with 65 of 300 down.
Yeah, and they say they're going to work on Sawinski's car when he comes in. I want to see what they do. I'd polish it. I wouldn't do anything to the chassis, though.
I keep on wondering that myself. A track bar adjustment, heck, forget about it. Slap some tires, put some fuel in that baby, and let it rip, because Kevin Sawinski is certainly the best out there right now.
Well, the first 4 cars are just welded together as they go around there. Robbie Powell in that red car, number 63, he's sticking right there with them. Track position is so important on this racetrack, and I think right now if Robbie Powell was out front, he would keep the lead.
David Stremme continued a little contact with Danny Fredrickson there on the front stretch.
Big Dan don't like to be bumped around. This ought to be interesting as they go off turn 2 there down the back straightaway. Watch what Dan Fredrickson does as they go side by side down into turn 3.
In fact, 4 rookies running nose to tail there. David Stremme, Dan Fredrickson, Kyle Busch, and Jason Boyd. How about this track, buddy? You mentioned we're going to see 2 groove racing, but maybe getting a little slick in this hot temperature.
Well, I think so, and you see these guys, they're doing everything they can now just to hang on to these cars because they've gone far enough. They're running fuel out of the cars and the tires are getting hot. The racetrack is changing somewhat.
We mentioned Jason Boyd running 9th in the Janny King number 86, one of those 4 rookies running right together there. And then there's the Wisconsin Cheesecake car, the 05 car for Chris Wimmer. Just behind them, Jason and Chris having a pretty good run.
Oh, and Chris Wimmer does 90% of all the work on that 05 himself. And right behind him, you have Todd Cleaver, who is also a rookie, that's doing a great job in that 55 this year.
Todd Cleaver in the sign 1-1, number 55, and around goes Doug Malik.
And I would bet 100 he had some help there because that's a part of the racetrack. If you get touched, you're going to go around.
He takes down the B of Goodrich Tires sign, and Malik getting back out on the racetrack. Kevin Sawinski leads them to the line. Still green flag action, no caution. And you know what? That gave Sawinski a lead.
Yeah, and you see a change there for second spot because the 83 of Joey Clanton got by and took over second place because Butch Miller's spotter said, trouble ahead. He backed off, Clanton went by.
Oh, trouble. Danny Fredrickson in the Great Clips 21 in the top 10. That car has slowed. Trying to see what Danny's doing inside the cockpit of that race car, trying to get back out on the track and get going. Had some electronic problems in Madison, Wisconsin a couple weeks ago. Don't want to speculate, but you never know. Looks like he slowed and has picked up the pace again.
I think he changed ignition. He's back into full force now.
Howie Lenow watching David Stremme on top of the pit box. Will he come to the front? We'll find out when we come back. This is Tony Paco's. This was the place that Corporal Klinger was always talking about in the MASH TV series. And one of the traditions of this Toledo culinary landmark is to have the famous people sign a hot dog bun and put it on the wall. And Buddy Baker, I understand you signed a hot dog bun and that your buns are underneath Alice Cooper on the wall, Tony.
No. My buns are gone south.
What's up down there, Jim Trado?
The 21 team of Dan Fredrickson is standing by. He's slowed as we went to the last commercial break. The car, he has switched ignition boxes. This is a different car than they had similar problems with at Madison. Crew Chief Mike Froelich is also the front tire carrier. They're getting that fixed. They're trying to get the car to handle better as they drop back to 19th. Really nothing to lose at this point in the race to get fresh Goodrich tires on this car.
You saw Mike Froelich helping out with the air hose at the front of that race car. Tough break for Dan Fredrickson, and Dan was running very well. But you know what, Buddy Baker? We have a new leader.
Yep, and there he is, Joey Clanton. I'm telling you, that car is a rocket ship after that last restart.
Want to find out how he got there? Well, you know what? We'll show you. Joey Clanton with one heck of a move.
As they come off the corner, you see Clanton getting great grip on the bottom side of the racetrack. Kevin Sawinski fighting very hard to hold on to that lead. Maybe just a
No.
That's kind of like, I'm here, but not enough to even move to the car. Now Clanton just drives down in the corner very hard. You see Butch Miller in the 04 trying to take second away.
Kevin Sawinski mentioned that he might not need a chassis adjustment, but I don't know, he might now.
Well, he might have been smarter than us, huh?
Yeah, he might. Kevin Sawinski still hanging in there. I didn't think anybody was smarter than you.
Look at this. Look at Stremme here.
David
all
Stremme.
over the place.
Everybody rooting for him in the Toledo Speedway grandstand. Stremme doing a good job. He is up to 7th, Brian Till.
Yeah, I talked to Howie Leto, and I said, you know, you guys have a good car. He said, yeah, we're just a little bit tight in the middle, but we need some green flag racing. That's exactly what we're seeing here, guys. With these yellows coming out, they can't get the tires really warmed up and get the chassis working, so they don't really know what they have unless they get some long green flag runs. I also asked him about pit stop strategy. He said, one more yellow, we can stay out for another 30 laps. We could do this on one stop.
Well, the 6th caution of the day coming to an end. That was for Chris Cole, who had spun on the front stretch. And you hear Howie Leto say, green, 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 go, go, go. Let's go, boys. Lap 189, the restart. Stremme is on the tail end of Mike Garvey wanting that spot. Mike Garvey in the Sequoia, number 17, running right in front of the Edie's Ice Cream, number 11, for David Stremme. Stremme, I asked him yesterday, I said, how's the car? He says, oh yeah, baby, we got a good one.
And you know, it's just that way. That whole family, even the mother drove race cars and won races. That family is a racing family, and David Stremme absolutely loves what he's doing.
Heck, his girlfriend Ginger runs cars. In fact, she has raced David on the racetrack a bunch of times. Ginger runs super late models, enduro races, and all sorts of stuff in the upper Midwest. But Stremme, he's got one victory under his belt right now, and Howie has said, you know what? You got one victory, those other victories will come even easier than that first one.
Well, right at the moment, he's got a hood full of the Mike Garvey car, the 17 there. He's also a 13-time winner in ASA, so he's not a pushover. He's got to be very careful now not to knock himself out by being too impatient. He has to work on these guys, let them make a small mistake, and then capitalize.
And talking about Mike Garvey, the guy has had miserable luck here in ASA this year.
He has. Well, it's a brand new team, and you have that. That's growing pains.
Oh.
Right there, he made a mistake, though. He slid a little bit high. Now Stremme all over the back. Garvey goes right to the bottom and says, you go past me, you got to go through the infield.
Stremme, even a little contact with the Sequoia machine. And that actually dented the hood on Stremme's machine.
Yeah, and Mike Garvey loves a good confrontation. You will not scare him by touching him, I promise you.
He is a tough cookie. Mike Garvey, maybe that car pushing a little bit in the corners.
Now, David Stremme's got to be very, very careful. Even though we're on a half-mile racetrack, they're running around here very fast down the straightaway. He's gonna, and there he goes.
Oh boy, don't hit anything, David. No, he spins and comes to a stop. Oh, a tough battle between Mike Garvey and David Stremme. Stremme tried to put it in there. They hit. Stremme got loose, and he goes around for the 7th caution of the day. Oh, what do you think about that, buddy?
Well, one thing about it, I told you, Mike Garvey loves a good confrontation.
Here it is. This is the first hit between Stremme and the 17.
And look at the nose on the car. It's already had a little touch, but right there you can see it ripple the right front corner. Now the second hit coming up here. He tries to put that car right down on the bottom, slides up, wow, hard into him. Both cars still continuing.
We're not over.
Let's do another one. Well, this one, he really tried to put it somewhere it couldn't go. Gets Garvey crossed up, but got himself into big trouble there by being a little too impatient.
Garvey not giving Stremme an inch. Stremme trying to fight back, and boom, hits the Sequoia 17.
Now, what happened there was he realized he had too much speed. He was going to get into Garvey, and he tried to turn down to stay off of him, and that actually spun his car out.
What do you think David Stremme's thinking inside that car?
I could have waited a little while longer and not had all this going on.
You know, those are some pretty good angles there. Awesome work by the cameramen here for the MPG staff and Tommy Gee, Frenchie, Mark Dorsey and the boys in the tape room. Look at all those replays. They were on top of their game.
I'll put our camera guys up against anybody.
They make us look good.
Oh, that's doing something.
Yeah, exactly. David Stremmy's got the wrinkled hood, as Buddy mentioned, on that Stouffer's number 11. 4 lead changes so far in this race, and Stremmy's going to have to come from the back of the pack, but you know what? He's going to make a pit stop.
Right now, he's coming to pit road for a little attention. He knows he has nose damage on the car.
There he goes, Brian Till.
You can see that the front is pushed in a little bit. He's got a crack in the front balance. The hood has popped up. Guys feel pretty secure with it. I haven't seen any tape come out yet. Changing right side tires. The fuel's in. Jack, a little problem with the jack. The jack's stuck underneath it. They got it out. Still working on that right rear. That was the problem. He's down and away.
Well, that's the nice part of where we sit. We saw him take the right front, pull out on it, reshape it a little bit so he could continue on. So there was some work done to the right front, too.
David Stremme, go David, go. So says a bunch of his fans here in Toledo, Ohio. There it is. Little contact between he and Mike Garvey. David goes around, but you know what? It's provided us with something to look at, because when we come back, we're going to watch David Stremme march through this Toledo Speedway field in a moment. The war is on here at the ASA Race at Toledo Speedway, and the 2 guys you see on your screen, the Campfire USA 83 and the Great Clips #1 of Kevin Sawinski, Joey Clanton. They're dueling it out.
They are, and Kevin Sawinski's car gets better as they go through long runs. You see right there, pulling even. He's trying to take the lead back as they go down in turn 1.
These guys have had a couple of confrontations this year. Sawinski on the inside with a pretty darn good move. Can't pull it off.
Whoa, he can't drive down in the corner like that 83. He drove her so far down there, he drifted up the racetrack. But Sawinski, he just realized, I'm not going to move on Clanton like that right at the moment. But Clanton's car is beginning to give up, and he's starting to slide across. Look at Jason Boyd, though.
Buddy, you've been watching that Johnny King 86, and he is marching his way through the field.
Trying to go by Mike Garvey, gets the pass made right now. Chris Wimmer all over the back of Garvey now. He's beginning to fade just a little bit in that 17 car.
Jason Boyd now in 5th, Chris Wimmer and Mike Garvey in that Sequoia 17. A little contact there. Todd Cleaver now underneath Mike Garvey. Here comes Kyle Busch. He's getting freight trained.
Boy, when you get out there, you feel like everything on the racetrack's going to get by you, and Mike Garvey would love to be on the low side of that racetrack at the moment.
Chris Wimmer now in the 6th spot. Todd Cleaver up to 7th, but Garvey says not yet.
No, he's going to make everybody that passes him earn it, I'll tell you that. He's a hard-nosed race car driver.
Joe Shear, the crew chief on that machine again this weekend. Joe Shear, of course, the crew chief for Johnny Sauter, who won 10 races here last year. Todd Cleaver giving it a go on the inside. Todd says, you know what? I have a very good race car. Oh, contact between he and Garvey.
Boy, you're messing with a pit bull. Be careful.
Oh, man. This is quite the battle shaping up around Mike Garvey here today at Toledo Speedway.
Yeah, and you can see you can't really back off, because just behind you have Kyle Busch there in the 07 running just about as fast as the lead car. Track position is everything here. Some of the faster cars are back here where we're watching.
Now Jason Boyd running very well now in the top 5. Had one other top 5 finish in just a couple of starts here in ASA this year, and he's running awful good, Brian Till.
Well, he certainly is. Augie Grills is crew chief. Augie, how's he running right now? What's he said about the car?
Nothing much. We started the race a little too loose, and it's starting to tighten up now, and hopefully Johnny King Monte Carlo will get up and lead a few laps here.
So the track's coming to you guys?
Yeah, the track's tightened up a little since the race started, and we're just getting better and better.
You heard it, better and better, and that's certainly the way it looks from here, Bob.
It looks good from up here, too. I'll tell you that on our cameras. They're giving us a good view of that 86 marching through the field. But you see Joey Clanton opening up an advantage. And who's in second, buddy?
Butch Miller is taking over second place right now. And maybe Kevin Sawinski's car is giving up on him a little bit. Robbie Powell all over the trunk lid of his car trying to take that spot away from him.
You can see they just went around the 60 car of Ed Brown. Kevin Sawinski running 3rd. Robbie Pyle, the Sitco MDA car, running in 4th. Just behind them is Jason Boyd, who we mentioned just a moment ago. See Robbie Pyle's car wiggle?
That's why you call them drivers. They have to be ready, and you have to stay up on that wheel. You can see that wiggle coming off the corner, and Jason Boyd closing in right behind him now. That 86 car is flying around this racetrack.
He certainly is. In fact, the crew for the Johnny King team told me, you know what Jason told us last night? He can win win this race. That's pretty incredible, being that he's only run a couple races here in ASA, and the competition is ultra stiff.
You have to believe it whether you do it or not. You have to believe in yourself to get it done.
You know, I asked Jason, though, and he was a little bit humble. I said, hey, the boys tell me you think you could be a winner out here. And he said, well, I meant I have a winning car. Doesn't want to show that bravado that he has underneath there. Jason Boyd certainly knows he's a good race car driver, a limited late model runner from the late model divisions of Florida. Took over for Wayne Anderson a couple of weeks ago. Ran in the top 5 at Salem and having a darn good run here.
Absolutely good. And you see right now, Robbie Powell, even though the car's twitching a little bit, he's still closing down on Sawinski. Sawinski really needs a pit stop right now and adjust on that car because it's beginning to drop back.
You heard Brian Till tell us a track bar adjustment coming up for Kevin Sawinski. Brian Till, what's going on?
Down here with crew chief Mike Chaffee on Kevin Sawinski's car. What's Kevin saying about the car? Looks like you're losing a bit of ground.
Yeah, the car works really good off the yellow flags, but then we start going to loose all around the corner, so we got a few ideas on how to fix it.
A few ideas how to fix it. Mike Chaffee tells Jim Trado. What are those ideas, buddy?
Some of them are probably air pressure changes, maybe a round of wedge in the car to try to make the spring on that given corner a little stiffer, to change the bite of the car through the corner where it gets better forward grip.
Sawinski going around the 48 of Rich Gardner, putting him a lap down. Robbie Pyle still trying to fight back on the inside because he knows Jason Boyd is coming.
Jason Boyd will not show a lot of patience either. When he gets there, he's a young guy in a hurry right now to make a name in ASA, and he's doing quite a nice job in that particular race car.
Jason Boyd is 20 years young. Robbie Pyle just in front of him, and Robbie Pyle has 9 straight top 10 finishes in ASA coming into this race. They have really turned their program around with the Waltom team. You see Mike Chaffee looking on to see how his Great Clips #1 is going to do, taking the time, seeing how Kevin Sawinski is turning this track.
Yeah, and also he's analyzing what the car is doing by keeping his eye on the race car. He's watching everything it's doing, and those adjustments, you have to have a guy that can watch as well as listen to the driver to make changes.
Did you check out that gap between first and second and third, though? Wow. That is a big gap.
Well, Joey Clanton is after that 8th win this year, and Buddy, he has turned it loose here.
They're now going around David Sensiba in a team car to Kyle Busch here today. The number 70 machine, David Sensiba, running for the 2nd time this year in ASA competition. Sawinski still hanging on to 3rd. Robbie Pyle hasn't mounted a charge, but Jason Boyd is.
Yeah, and he's giving a little nudge every once in a while there to Robbie Pyle. He's gotten into him 2 or 3 times. Just a little nudge, just to say, I am here and I want that spot.
David Stremme, trouble for him. He goes around coming off of turn number 2. More trouble for the Meyer team.
Yeah, and that's what you get when you get back in the field like that. He's trying to go back to the front, and I'm sure he just run out of space somewhere along in that turn 2 area.
Tom Powell says slow down. Yellow flag for the 8th time today in the first 131 laps. Stremme slow on the racetrack.
Very slow. I'm not sure what the heck's wrong with the car. He just fired it up again. It was not running there, and he fired up again and started going.
The aftermath of what happened, hard to tell. Stremme, you see him spinning there, though, right in front of Casey Smith and John Silverthorne.
That looked like he might have got on those rumple strips on the inside of the racetrack, and the car just stepped out on him.
Those rumple strips down on the bottom, man, they are pretty deep. Buddy Baker and I drove around this track yesterday. I put my left front tire down there in the rental car, and boom, 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 boom.
Well, it's about 3 inches deep is what it is, and they've cut it down in the pavement. You put the left front in there, boy, it can throw that car sideways in a hurry.
You see Jim Hahn in the pace car telling Joey Clanton if he wants to pit, get to the inside, and you know what? We are going to see pit stops. Looks like Joey Clanton, Butch Miller. I'm sure Kevin Sawinski's coming down pit road too.
Feeding time at the zoo now. Everybody knows what they need to do to the cars. You can see tire marks on everything out here because it is a contact sport, folks, no matter what you believe.
Short track, short tempers, all attitude here in ASA. The donut on the side of the 83 car. Remember, buddy, we spoke about how tight that pit road is. There's the little bump. Joey Clanton's car bottoms out on the left front of that car, and you know what, Chad or Jody Wilkerson, Mark Lloyd and the boys of the Campfire USA team are ready for Joey to come down on pit road. Bond Suss on the right front, Jim Trado.
Indeed, I talked to Bond before the stop. I said, what will you change when you come in? He said, absolutely nothing. With all the short runs early on, they didn't have any problems. So now they get away with just a brilliant good stop. Ryan Till?
And they went fuel right side. They're having a problem with the right rear tire. They took some leaves out of the radiator. No changes. He's down. He's gone.
Oh boy, trouble for Dion Deneau and the guys on the 04 team. We saw them have trouble at Berlin. Trouble again for them on a pit stop.
Yeah, and you heard them say they got some leaves out of the grill. There's trees that go all around this whole speedway, and some of the leaves get down on the racetrack, and there's very little opening on the front of a race car. You're trying to get as much downforce as you can get, so you tape off some, and if you get leaves on it, it'll run hot on you.
Incredible. Kevin Sawinski there in the Great Clips #1, out right behind Joey Clanton on that round of pit stops. So Joey went in first. He is the first off of pit road. Kevin Sawinski just behind him. Jason Boyd with a good pit stop is behind Sawinski, but Butch Miller, it cost him on pit road. He lost a couple of spots.
Yeah, and it's hard to make passes here. We've watched that all day long, so track position very, very important.
Pit road and the battles there. Well, they say races can be won there, excuse me, but you know what? They can also be won on the racetrack. Ed Brown back down pit road. Trouble for him. We'll be back in a moment. The Maumee River runs right through the city of Toledo. A lovely shot of downtown Toledo. Right there behind the river. So you can see some of the boating activity. But you know what? Toledo Speedway is the site to be today for the ASA Racing Series and the Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300, presented by Johnny King. Long title. There's Joey Clanton in the lead. Kevin Sawinski in second. 8 cautions today for 47 laps. Jason Boyd, Buddy Baker, you just mentioned, in third.
Absolutely flying in that 86, running along there in third. Actually pulling down a little bit on Kevin Sawinski in the 1 car. Great run for him. And up in the lead right now, Joey Clanton, he's feeling a little heat now after they've made these pit stops. Maybe they did the corrections on the 1 car to make it a lot better. Kevin Sawinski all over the back of the 83 there.
The characteristics of a race car can certainly change after a pit stop, can't they?
Well, all you do is change the balance of the car and make it work better. You either work on the front or the rear, and right now they worked on the right end of it because he's moving even now to take the lead away from Joey Clanton.
Sawinski's changes on that car have certainly worked. Mike Chappie, Mike Reesop, and the guys made the right call, it appears, because he's on the inside of Clanton, and it looks like he's going to get the spot.
But it's not over yet. They made a little contact coming out of turn 4, and they're still door handle to door handle down the straightaway.
Sawinski, Clanton side by side. Sawinski still squeezing his nose in there. The Texas Roadhouse #1.
And Joey Clanton saying, I want it bad as you do, bub, and I drive it down in the corner as deep as anybody and takes the lead back.
And you know what? Jason Boyd wants the lead too. He's saying, don't forget about me, boys, in that Johnny King 86 as he closes on the back bumper of Sawinski.
Yeah, and while these guys are going at it, Robbie Pyle in that red number 63 moves in, and Butch Miller just behind them in that silver car now. All 5 cars nose to tail.
Sawinski may be cooling his tires for another planned attack on Clanton.
And you can see the halfway mark of the race just then. The flagman's letting everybody know you're halfway home.
150 of 300 down here. Joey Clanton, jamming Joey. 7 wins on the season. Well, you know what, Buddy Baker? He is the winner of the BF Goodrich Tires Halfway There Award once again here at Toledo Speedway. Joey Clanton has led 96 laps. Just in front of him is David Stremme. You see a car in the wall as Joey Clanton goes by. The caution flag flies. Oh boy. Tobacco is foul, and that car is fouled up for Casey Smith.
And so is the nose of that race car, front and rear on that car, totally destroyed. Plus the radiator's busted. You can see the coolant coming across the racetrack from it.
The DuckTexas.com car for 17-year-old Casey Smith. Here is how it happened.
Greg Stewart got hit by Smith there, going in the corner. That turned him around.
Peter Cozzolino getting into the back of the 08 car. J.C. Beatty also involved there, kind of in the 09 ATI performance car. A third look of what happened. Boy, our tape guys and camera guys doing a great job today giving us all these views.
Casalino in the 44 there got into him also and turned one of them up into the wall.
Tough break for the Hanchett Manufacturing number 33 for Greg Stewart. He's on pit road and the hood is up. Oh man, the fluid just pouring out of the front of that car. Jim Trado?
I'm in the 08 pit. They're awaiting the car. They said they got hit from behind. Let's check in with Casey Smith's dad. Casey, what did Casey say on the radio?
He was racing a 33 car, and I guess Peter Casalino in that 44 car got a little anxious there and kind of got into us and turned us. Just racing. We'll be back again, I guess. It's happened 4 times in a row to us, so. We were kind of coming up to the pad. We had a fuel pump problem earlier, but we came in, made a pit stop, and made the car better, and looked like he was going to run maybe in the top 10. But anyway, we'll be back.
Brian Till?
Greg Stewart, not the place you want to be. What happened?
I was just racing hard at the back. This track's the racist track I've seen yet. I passed the 08 clean, and he came back in and nailed me in the rear end. It's just a fact of wild driving, I guess, on somebody else's part. But we had a good car. We just got hurt in the pit stops, and I made a clean pass on him. He dove back in the turn and nailed me in the rear end, and I had nowhere to go, but I'll talk to him about it.
Raciest racetrack you've been on for a while, so the new surface here is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you're lifting and back in the gas. It's just sticking so good that even the drivers that can't drive is really fast on it, and that's really what causes crashes.
Okay, what is Greg Stewart going to say to Casey Smith, buddy?
You can believe one thing, he'll know what he's talking about when he leaves.
Greg Stewart has had a miserable season here in ASA, just filled with bad luck. He's had a couple of good runs, but a season of misery for Greg Stewart. Chris Schultz in that 33 car at Pensacola, Florida, subbing because Greg had heat exhaustion, and then at Hawkeye Downs into the wall after a little bout with Sheriff Russ Tuttle. And then how about this at Berlin? Around he goes in front of the field, collects the car, but Big John Silverthorne goes around on the front stretch of Berlin, and then at Elko Speedway, around again goes the body balance number 33 car in front of a bunch of competitors. And how about that? Another spin on the front stretch. Seems like Greg spins a lot on the front stretch there. Trouble for him. And you know what? He's a tough guy. He will come back a darn good racer, but just bad luck. You can see how hot it is here today, buddy. That could play a factor too, don't you think?
Absolutely. We'll see when we come back.
The Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300 presented by Sterling. Greg Stewart not too happy. He'll be back in a couple of weeks at ASA. 9 cautions for 56 laps, taking its toll here at Toledo Speedway. We have a 2.5-hour window to get this one in, and hopefully we'll see green flag racing from here on out.
Boy, we need it bad. They've had just a bunch of cautions here, and it takes a lot of airtime away from us, so I hope we can get it all in. Certainly want to.
160 laps down out of the 300. Let's set the top 5. Joey Clanton, Kevin Sawinski, Jason Boyd in the 86, Robbie Pyle in the 63, and Butch Miller in 5th.
And Gary St. Amant has worked his way all the way up to 6th spot now, the current points leader in that 7 car, coming down in the corner there, doing a great job, showing a lot of patience. That's why he's leading the points. He knows how to do it with not a lot of fanfare, but not tearing his car up.
On the only round of pit stops so far today, Gary St. Amant gained a couple of spots. And take a look at Dan Fredrickson, had that problem with his car. Oh, maybe a little bumper tag with Kyle Busch. And as I mentioned, ignition problems on that car, but he's battled back.
And Russ Tuttle just behind them in the 16 car, now on the move to the front also, running along in 9th spot.
Tuttle, good run for him today. He had a great run here 2 years ago, led a bunch of laps, but had some problems at the end of that one. Tuttle with his best finish ever in ASA a couple weeks ago, a second after Salem, and I thought he was going to give you a hug after that race.
Yeah, he said, "Are you proud of me?" And I said, "Everybody's." And he said, "Are you proud of me?" And I said, "Absolutely." Great drive by him. At one time, looked like he might win the race. This year, he's had his problems, got upside down, hurt himself, came back. Really made a great comeback in that 16 car and almost won at Salem.
And there, the battle for the lead once again. Sawinski to the inside. We've seen this time and time again.
That was more than casual contact, and look at Boyd take advantage of that, moving in the 2nd spot in the 86 car. Robbie Pyle ready to pounce, and Butch Miller sitting there in the 04, just sitting there waiting to see what happens.
Boyd, a tough guy on the contact between he and Sawinski. Wow, This is getting good, 3 abreast.
And that shows you what young guys do. Hey, he just went right on, crossed it up, and took second spot.
He says, I don't know any better. I go to the outside, contact or no contact. That Johnny King 86 is going into the second spot. And now here comes Danny Fredrickson in the Great Clip 21.
That's the great thing about being young. You don't know what you can't do, so you go ahead and try anyhow.
Mike Chaffee's got to be wondering what the heck happened with my Great Clip #1 there. I just got booted and banged all over the racetrack. Kevin doing a little banging himself. Fredrickson's on the move.
And way up high like that, he's going to run out of racetrack, but buddy, he's just flying around the racetrack. Finally got up too high there, slid up, and now he's starting to drop back a bit.
He lost a lot of ground to Butch Miller and then ASI Limited number 04. Take a look at where your favorite driver is running in this field. Gary St. Amant just behind Danny Fredrickson. Kyle Busch there in the 07 car, and Russ Tuttle. And just behind them in 10th, Todd Cleaver. Let's take a look at all that action that just happened. This is pretty incredible.
See Kevin Sawinski working the low side of the racetrack. Joey Clanton goes in high, starts to wash up. As they start off the corner contact there, you can see, boy, I tell you one thing. Sawinski had to work to save that car because he got very, very sideways.
Great car control by the 1997 ASA champion. Going for the points title again this year. Came in 4th. Wow, that was great driving by everybody involved in that little deal down there.
Except Jason Boyd. He just stayed wide open and just kept on digging.
Jason Boyd certainly showing he knows how to put the pedal to the floor because he's in 2nd spot, and now he's trying to set his sights on Joey Clanton, the Campfire USA 83. Jim Trado.
Mike Chaffee, the crew chief on Kevin Sawinski. A lot of bumping and banging. Has it hurt your car at all?
No, the one car, well, it just dropped off the pace there.
He knows. Mike Chaffee stopped his interview because the one car simply quit going into turn number 3 again. Well, Favor Racing teams have had a problem with ignition problems the last 3 or 4 races. Danny Fredrickson's happened to have it twice today. He's still in 6th position, but Sawinski battled back twice last week and finished 4th. This may be terminal as he's not able to refire as he did 1 race ago.
Well, we can see that he's changed the ignition box over and the car is back to 100%, but he's lost a lot of track position. You can see right there, Kevin Sawinski back to 100% as far as power, but he had to change everything over, and he lost a lot of great track position.
Twice that happened to him at Madison International Speedway a couple weeks ago. It happened to his teammate Danny Fredrickson there as well. Happened to both cars here today. Sawinski back in the 14th spot, Brian Till.
Well, Jim, you were just talking about Kevin Sawinski and an electrical problem. Fredrickson's having the same deal. We saw him slow down earlier. I just talked to his crew chief. He said the same thing. Awesome car, handling fantastic, but it keeps shutting off and it keeps sending him backwards. Seems to be a problem with these teammates.
Saw Danny's younger brother David looking on, wondering if that car is going to be able to keep up the speed for the rest of the race. Dan Fredrickson in 5th. Could this be a problem? Oh, well, obviously it's a problem.
Well, it's got to be. I mean, they work out of the same shop and pretty much buy all the parts from the same places. So, yeah, I'd say it's a team problem.
What can you do to correct that?
I'm sure they'll fix it before the next race because this has happened 2 or 3 races already this year. And this Joey Clanton car, as we watch him go around, you don't see that car pulling over with ignition trouble. If he pulls over, it's because the front end's where the back end is now. That's the only way you ever see that car slow up.
Or that snap ring at Madison a couple of weeks ago, that freak part that caused him all sorts of trouble and caused him to lose the point lead. He goes around Rich Gardner, just went around Doug Malik. Well, the guys of the Kevin Sawinski team taking a look. Will Joey Clanton win? We'll find out in a while. Check out some of the exciting action here at Toledo Speedway today. Butch Miller to the outside of Kevin Sawinski. That right there at that time, the battle for 2nd. And then Buddy David Stremme, just misery for him. He spins in the corner.
Yeah, he's got a hat trick going today. He's had some real problems with the spins that he's had.
A fuel spill for Ed Brown on pit road, and then Joey Clanton and Kevin Sawinski duking it out just a little bit on the racetrack. Joey Clanton is your leader with Jason Boyd in 2nd spot right now. Butch Miller in 3rd. Robbie Pyle is 4th. The Sitco team with a pretty good run. Dan Fredrickson 5th. Russ Tuttle 7th. Gary St. Amant, 8th. Todd Cleaver, David Stremme coming back through the field. Chris Wimmer, he's dropped back to 13th. Tim Taylor, good run for him, up to 14th.
We have caution on the speedway, and the reason for that is Rich Gardner spun around coming through turn 3 as we go under caution now.
Chad Wood, you saw him in 29th, having trouble with that car after running in the top 15. Rich Gardner, though, the 10th caution of the day. We didn't want to see this, another yellow flag. And here's what happened, buddy.
Got a little assistance there from Gary St. Amant as they go down into turn 3. You see the 48 there sliding to the inside. Not a lot of damage, but I'm sure he's going. I saw Gary coming. I thought I had room, but I didn't.
Gary St. Amant, he's kind of fading a little bit. St. Amant trying to catch Joey Clanton in this points chase. And Buddy Baker, we're going to try to talk to Gary.
Gary St. Amant, this is Buddy Baker. Can you hear me? He's talking with his crew right now. I'll try to get him again. Gary St. Amant, this is Buddy Baker. Can you read me?
I got a copy on you, buddy. You got a copy on me?
Yeah, everything. You've been back in the middle part of the field most of the day. Your car doing okay, or what's going on?
Yeah, AC-Delco Chevrolet's a little off today. We start off pretty good, and we get a little bit tight as we go on. And, you know, if we could ever run, you know, 50, 60 laps in a row, we might be all right. But I don't know. Just we'll just see what we can do, get the best finish we can get.
That last little spin was awful close. Everything okay?
Oh, yeah, you know, these lap cars just got to learn to get the hell out of the way every once in a while, and it cost me a position, so we had to kind of tell him, hey, you know, we need to get out of the way when the lead lap cars are coming.
Okay, pal, thanks for talking. We'll talk to you later.
So evidently a little contact between Gary St. Amant and Rich Gardner. Gary saying, come on, guy, get out of my way. Talk about this points chase we've been speaking about all race long. Joey Clanton is your leader right now, not in the point chase, but this race. Gary St. Amant with a 28-point lead coming into this race. St. Amant is running 10th. David Stremme, he's been on pit road just outside the top 10. And take a look at that. There is the boys of the Campfire USA team getting some drinks, ready for Bon Sus and the guys. You saw Jim Trado in the shot. Lori Dominichek keeping track of David Stremme. We'll find out where he's going to run when we come back. Check out that kid taking a little stroll around the Toledo Speedway. Our wee man reporter, Sam Till. Wait a second. Steadiest cameraman in the business. Well, that was Jeff Kelty getting us that shot. But Brian Till, that was his son. A lot better looking than Brian, isn't he?
Oh, no question.
Brian, can you give him the microphone? I heard him. He does a better job than you, I think.
He either wants to do this or be a race car driver, and at 2 years old, that scares me to death. Buddy, what should I do?
Well, you better teach him to talk on the, you've been there. You're quite a good race car driver, Brian Till was. And let me tell you, anybody does those Indy cars like he did, he knows what both sides, and I think he chose the right one. Very good pit reporter.
Exactly. Brian Till, an Indy 500 starter in his career. Brian, a good guy to have along with us on the ASA telecast. 97 laps to go. You know what, buddy? Also want to give a shout out to Kathy Mullen, who is home in California. Feeling a little bit ill. Usually she's with us with producer John Mullen on these telecasts, and we miss Kathy.
Get well, Kathy. We need you back here.
David Stremme in the Meyer number 11, trying to work his way back through the field. You can see Chris Wimmer in the Wisconsin Cheesecake 05 car. Just behind him, and Tim Taylor in the front. Is there anything that David Stremme's got to do to get his way back through the field?
Well, a while ago he was getting pretty aggressive, and he got with Mike Garvey, and Mike Garvey gave him a lesson in how to bump. You can see the right side of that car is pretty well skinned up.
Well, the reason why he's skinned up is because of this. He's had a tough day, a little contact with the Sequoia machine of Mike Garvey, but that wasn't it. Again into the Sequoia machine for Mike Garvey, and around goes the Meyer number 11.
And that was round 2.
Yeah, round 3 right there, right in front of.
That's the hat trick for the day.
John Silverthorne, but Chris Wimmer has gotten around David Stremme. Brian?
Well, Howie Leto's the crew chief for David Stremme, and you guys elected to come in the last time. Some body damage. You got a handling problem?
Yeah, I think when we spun here earlier in the race, we flat spotted some tires and we put lefts on here, that first yellow, and we still were loose, so we decided to come in, put some rights on, made an adjustment, and we'll see what we got in this last 100 laps.
Howie, how do you keep him calmed down? I know you're after the points chase. You got to keep him calmed down and get some points.
Well, I talked to him a lot, you know. He's pretty excitable in that, you know, and good young driver, and I think he's going to be okay here.
Stremme in 14th, battling for this ASA Championship and the Rookie of the Year title. That car is pretty scarred up, but he is still going to come out of here most likely with a pretty good finish. Tim Taylor also having a good run. Tim Taylor, well, just goes behind David Stremme there as Tim Taylor loses a spot. Looks like he might lose a spot to Chris Wimmer as well. That guy, no problems whatsoever. Joey Clanton leading this field at 211 laps. You want to see some exciting action? Well, buckle up, because you got to check this out. We've had all sorts of stuff, including a little contact between Danny Fredrickson and the RouseRacing.com car for Kyle Busch, and then more contact right here between the Texas Roadhouse machine for Kevin Sawinski and Joey Clanton. Well, we see David Stremme trying to march his way through the field, and more contact between the 11 car and the Sequoia car for Mike Garvey. Rich Gardner right in front of point leader Gary St. Amant in the AC-Delco car. Woo, how about that, Buddy Baker? We're going to take a look at the full field rundown, but that was awful exciting.
Yeah, and Jason Boyd running along, and we have caution on the speedway again.
Kyle Busch now up to 5th, David Stremme 12th. Decent run for Todd Cleaver in the 11. Rick Beebe is 15th. Peter Cozzolino in the McDonald's car right there. J.C. Beatty in the 17. David Seitz in the top 20 in that Eaton Manufacturing car. We have a lot more to go here during the Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300 presented by Johnny King. That's a mouthful. We'll have more words to say. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by Tom Raper RVs, the largest RV dealer in the West. For a wide selection of motorhomes with luxurious accommodations, visit Tom Raper RV in Richmond, Indiana. Exit 149A off of I-70. Tom Raper RV, where fun begins. Back here at Toledo Speedway for the Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300. Joey Clanton still in the lead, but Kyle Busch in the 07 car, Buddy Baker, having a pretty good run.
Absolutely, doing a great job today. This is by far the best run late in the race that I've seen him run. He's 5th right now.
Ever since they got that Howe chassis car, they've been running pretty well. You know what? Kyle Busch comes from a family of racers. Father Tom also raced, and his famous Winston Cup brother, Kurt. And that was the first known race car that Kyle Busch got on top of course, the King number 43. And Kyle there behind the wheel followed in his brother's footsteps. First racing a Legends car. And you know what? Sometimes he followed behind brother Kurt as well in those Legends cars. But he did win quite a few races in the Legends cars before moving into a modified. Gotta love those modifieds. That is Kyle there with Father Tom. And there is that white modified machine around the Western racetracks. And that right there, the blue car, is Kyle going by Kurt in a late model race at the Bull Ring. And you know what, buddy? He won the first race he ever competed in the late model division. And who interviewed him? But his Winston Cup brother, Kurt.
I tell you, he's a hot shoe, no question about it. He'll go as far in racing as he wants to go. He's definitely, Jack Roush does not make mistakes, and he's getting this guy ready for bigger and better things later on in life. And believe me, he's a racer.
Green is out.
Green, green, go, 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 says Joey Clanton. But Jason Boyd having the ride of his life in the Johnny King 86 just behind him. You can see the injured race car, the number 14 for Doug Malik as the cars go around him. 80 laps to go. What are you thinking right now, buddy?
Well, the one thing right now that Joey Clanton's thinking is I got a great restart there. He's got about an 8 or 9 car length lead. But look at Jason Boyd in the 86 and all these guys closing in. It's not a runaway by any means, and what might play out later on, just whoever has the best balance in the race car near the end.
What's up, Jimbo?
Well, you know, as good as Kyle Busch is running, we're in Ohio. He brought from Las Vegas with him his crew chief, Jimmy Parker. These are candy Buckeyes. Of course, Buckeyes, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Buckeyes are a nut that can be poison if a human consumes them. Well, Jimmy didn't play with these. He played with a real nut. He ate the thing. It swelled his eyes shut. He had big old blotches coming all over his face. They got him the Benadryl, got him to the hospital. He didn't know they were poisonous. So when they got the old Buckeyes out, kind of as a joke, they brought along candy Buckeyes. Bob?
Well, here we go.
Talking about shutting one eye, I'm sure Clanton, we have caution on the speedway again.
John Silverthorne and Ed Brown getting together just as it was about to get good, buddy.
Boy, I tell you what, Jason Boyd had made a move there and pulled all the way even with Joey Clanton to try to take the lead. And, of course, two cars got together getting into turn one. You can see right there, Rowe has a lot of damage to the left rear corner.
Brett Rowe in the 27 car. Ooh, that machine is hurting down the back end as he pulls down pit road. Joey Clanton and Jason Boyd just getting good. It's going to be better when we come back. Tending to the home of the Mud Hens, the Toledo Mud Hens, now the AAA affiliate of the Detroit Tigers. The Mud Hens have been around since 1896. Do you know what they call their Batgirls?
I'm sure we'll know in a second. What?
The Dirty Chicks.
Only you, Bob.
Let's not go there. There is the crew for Brett Rowe going to work on that race car. And you know what? They have a pretty interesting story on that race car because Brett Rowe went out and searched for some crew members. Pit crew is very important here in ASA, especially on that car.
Brett Rowe makes his second ever ASA start here in Toledo this weekend, and this is a unique kind of deal. These guys work on the car during the middle of the week. Brett, you and some of your buddies get around the house, work on the car, but on the race weekends, you've had a hard time finding over-the-wall guys. It's kind of a unique situation here.
Right, and my mother found these 5-off, 5-on guys in a magazine and did all the work for us, and they come up here on Sunday morning and do the job for us.
Well, now, this is a school that actually trains guys to go over the wall. How confident do you feel in their ability?
Well, they did a great job at Jennerstown. I was the biggest rookie, but they did a good job, so we're very confident in them.
Well, they say ASA is a proving ground, a training ground. These guys just continuing their education here this weekend.
I'm sure they didn't prepare themselves for what they're doing right at this moment. There's no fun in fixing a wrecked car, especially when it has the damage that Rowe's car has. And Peter Cozzolino was also involved in that 44 car. He's now behind the wall.
12 cautions for 72 laps. That's incredible.
Yeah, we're fixing to get back to thunder and lightning here as they come down for the green flag.
I like that. Thunder and lightning. Joey Clanton leads the field, but guess who is in third? Butch Miller. He's been lurking since the start of this race, and this could be classic Butch, don't you think?
Well, he needs to turn it up because right at the moment, Jason Boyd in the 86 running in second there had already made a move on Joey Clanton just before we went to this caution. So who knows what might play out. You see cars back there running side by side trying to jockey into position to get that track position as we close in on the last part of this race.
Dan Fredrickson and the 07 car of Kyle Busch battling for fifth. The 21 on the inside and his teammate Kevin Sawinski just behind.
And Kevin Sawinski had problems early in the race there and had to change ignition. Lost about a half a lap to the whole field, but now he's back up there in contention as you see him work on Kyle Busch off the corner.
And he follows Dan Fredrickson, his teammate, around in those Great Clips machines. Both those cars with ignition problems, but both have battled back, and they look like they're having a good run right now.
Yeah, David Strimming, the 11 right there. Mike Garvey in the 17. And our boy Tuttle. They're all fighting for position here right as the waning laps of the race goes.
Russ Tuttle, the Indiana Sheriff. Oh, man, David Strimming had to get on the binders.
Every time he gets in that car really hard off the corner, the back end jumps straight out. He's been very close to spinning 2 or 3 times and he didn't get done. Been around 3 times already today.
Tuttle is 8th in the Conseco number 16. 9th is Mike Garvey in the Sequoia number 17. And just behind them is David Stremme rounding out the top 10 for all that David Stremme has been through. Oh boy.
And that's a hood right there. That's a hood as you see laying in the front straightaway there. It came off the car. I haven't really had a chance to see who it is, but yeah, this hood is laying right there, and they have to put the caution out to remove that big piece of metal.
Not good. You can see the hood laying on the front stretch, and the caution flies for the 13th time today. that hood from the 05 car of Chris Wimmer, who was having a good top 15 run here at Toledo. Wimmer in the Wisconsin Cheesecake number 05, and there goes some of the safety crew taking that Wisconsin Cheesecake hood back to the pit area. He's without a sponsor now on that car.
Wow, I tell you what, it's good cheesecake. I've had some.
Last season at Toledo Speedway, started 16th, had a pretty decent run. Ed Brown in the 60 car just behind him. Joey Clanton, Jason Boyd, Butch Miller, Robbie Pyle, and the number 1 car of Kevin Sawinski has gotten around his teammate in the 21, Danny Fredrickson. So that's your top 5, actually top 6 here at Toledo. With just over 60 laps remaining. Okay, what do you think, buddy? I mean, who's got a shot here? Clanton's been dominant. Jason's looked good, but what do you think?
I'm ready for a green flag. I tell you what, I'm ready to see who's got what, because really the dress rehearsal's over. It's time for the real show now.
Robbie Pyle, 3 starts here at Toledo, best finish of 5th. Brian?
Well, I talked to Bob Cumbo a little earlier after that last pit stop. I said, did you guys make any changes? And he confidently looked at me and said, no. I said, not a single one? And he said, not a single change, and had a big grin on his face. I think that shows by the way Robbie's running right now. It looks like his car is stuck in the middle of the corners.
Maybe Robbie Pyle playing a little patience game here.
Yeah, but he's got some pretty stiff competition up here. If he's holding anything back, he better let it go now.
Robbie Pyle hasn't won since Madison, Wisconsin. Well, actually last year in that great battle, that last lap battle with Mike Eddy and Gary St. Amant. Certainly wants number 2, victory number 2 here in ASA. 9 straight top 10s, but like you said, he would have to get by that guy in the Campfire USA team.
Yeah, and somebody said that was luck. I said, you have to be in the place for luck to play out, and he was there to take advantage of that incident.
Joey Clanton, 181 laps led. Jim Trado?
He has a dominant car today, Bond. You've had a number of opportunities, but you've only pitted once today. What's the race going to play out for you guys?
We're pretty much done pitting here. We watched tire wear real close in practice yesterday. Had great wear. Really only need 1 stop for fuel and right sides there. So we're going to ride this thing out. We'd really like to see a long green flag run because our car is really good there. The air pressures come up. And we struggle a bit for about 10 laps on lower air pressures out of a caution. So we're done for the day. We'll go from there. I want to say hi to Lisa at home. She's watching, and I miss you much, hon.
That's Lisa, his fiance, back at home in Minnesota.
Back at home in Minnesota, Bonsus, the crew chief for the 83 team, lives in Georgia right now. That's where that team is based, and they are going for the championship, and they have a lot to gain here today with Gary St. Amant, who made a pit stop on that last round of cautions before this one. Not up to where Clanton is right now.
Not there, and he has a lot of traffic to work, but he has fresh tires, and I'll tell you what, that was a good move on his part, I think. But hey, we're fixing to come down to green flag again.
We're going green. Just before we do, want to say hi to my grandfather, who was in the hospital last week, and get well soon, Grandpa, because we love you. And we go green again here in Toledo. Clanton, man, he gets some good restarts.
Great transmission in that car is geared just exactly right, because he always gets great restarts. You hardly ever see anybody beat him on restarts at all.
Jason Boyd, 2nd, Butch Miller, 3rd, Robbie Pyle. No changes to that Sitco MDA number 63, and here comes Sawinski.
Sawinski in that 1 car looking to the inside. He fought his way from the back of the field back up into contention again.
There goes Clanton, Boyd, Miller, and the boys on the speed shots here at Toledo Speedway. A very fast racetrack, and handling that racetrack is Russ Tuttle today, the Conseco number 16. He's still hanging tough in the 9th spot.
And David Stremme in the 11 right there, very aggressive today. Been in the back of several cars, made a couple of people mad, I would imagine, but driving his heart out, trying to get back to the front.
David Stremme, 3rd in points coming into this race. If you've had a day like David Stremme, don't you think he's got to be pretty aggravated?
Oh, absolutely. And also you start to make mental errors because you are frustrated. When everything goes right, you're perfect on the racetrack, and you're running the racetrack and not the people.
And the battle for the lead shaping up. Holy Toledo, we got a good one here. Here comes Jason Boyd to the inside.
And don't mind putting the bumper right on the left rear corner there of the 83 of Joey Clanton. was in a good spot there to actually make a move, but he did not put the bumper to him. He just laid it on him and then said, oh, maybe not. But he's right back in the same position again.
Oh, sideways. Totally sideways. He spins coming off the corner unassisted.
Oh, and nobody hit him somehow. Everybody got by that was right nose to tail with him.
Oh, man, pushing it real hard as Jason Boyd has said he's had some trouble adjusting from the bias blind tires to the late models. Augie Grill says, oh, my, I can't believe it. Jason Boyd on the radio.
And he was trying to get down below Joey Clanton and got the left front down below the white line there and actually threw the back of the car around.
Oh, man, Buddy Baker. Oh, heartbreaker for Jason Boyd. He'll go to the back of the pack, but it'll be fun to watch him try to go through with not much to go, under 50. Wedding parties love this setting. One of the most beautiful spots in the city, the Toledo Museum of Art. An impressive Grecian-style marble structure, works by Rembrandt van Gogh, among the paintings found in the collection inside this museum. This is a very picturesque racetrack as well, with the trees around the racetrack, and Jason Boyd not painting a pretty picture for him right now, though.
And not much love being shown either, just after a wedding picture like that. Jason, right here, you see, drives right down and gets her back into the car, kicked out. Very, very lucky. You see Butch Miller going by in the 04. Everybody going to the bottom of the racetrack. A miracle somebody didn't get in the back of him.
Second look at what happened, and Buddy, I mentioned the transition from him from local short track racing on the bias ply tires to these BF Goodrich radials. Maybe that because?
But he did the right thing. He hammered down right there, kept the rear wheel spinning, and kept him out of the outside wall. Right there, he's still wide open, spins her around. Hey, Joey Chitwood, we have a candidate.
Oh, and all these guys just behind him, too. Some good driving on their behalf as well. Butch Miller almost gets him.
Yeah, and that goes against the theory. You hear these people say, lock it up and you won't get in trouble. Don't you believe that. You fight that race car and try to save it.
Brian Till?
Well, I spoke to Augie Grill just before that spin. He said he felt like they had a car that could win. I said, what about Butch Miller? How much does a veteran like that put pressure on your young guy? And he said, we're not concerned about Butch. Jason's driving a good race car. After the spin, I asked him if he had a problem with the tires being flat spotted. He said no. Jason said they were fine. They kept him rolling the whole time. And Buddy, like you said, he didn't lock up the brakes. He did not flat spot the tire. They were actually arguing to go back in front of the one car because they felt like he spun across the line in front of Sawinski. But the officials have put him behind the 07. And still, with a spin on this racetrack to not hit anything and only lose 4 positions, he's a very lucky young man.
You're exactly right about that. And I'll tell you right now, the way that car is working, he might get back up there again.
And there's no racing back to the line, so that's why he didn't have any credence to get back up there right behind Sawinski. So here we go. Joey Clanton circumnavigating this track with just under 50 laps to go. Clanton, Miller, Sawinski, Pyle, and Kyle Busch. Right behind Kyle Busch is Jason Boyd in that 86 car, and here he goes to work, Buddy, on the outside.
That'll never work right there. I guarantee you Kyle Busch in the 07 there, he'll do everything he can. 4th place right at the end here, all over the back of Robbie Pyle, down the front straightaway, inches apart from each other.
Take a look at where your favorite driver is running in the live scoring in the upper left-hand part of your screen with 46 to go. Gavin Seitz in the Heaton manufacturing car running 17th, but the battles are up front, and the guy you got to keep an eye on is Jason Boyd right there, and the Johnny King 86 gets the spot.
He slides by, but right now Kyle Busch comes back, gives him a little nudge in the left rear again. Thank you very much.
Jason Boyd gets the spot. That's a 20-year-old battling a 17-year-old, and it was just entertaining.
Yeah, it was good, but Boyd got the spot, and he hadn't backed off a bit. He's moving back towards the front again. A great car today.
Well, you know those tires definitely aren't flat-spotted because he's coming.
Yeah, but you know one thing. When you back around like that and you spin the tires, the air pressure goes up because you generate so much heat. Right at the moment, he probably has a real loose race car, but he's doing a great job.
You've won a bunch of races. Have you ever won after you spun like that?
Oh, yeah. I won at Charlotte one time. I couldn't catch the guy I was chasing. I spun my own self out. They threw a caution. I went down pit road, never stopped, went out, won the race. I caught him with 5 laps to go and got by him. I won't say who it was. Never mind.
Here we go. Kevin Sawinski on the inside of Butch Miller, and Sawinski in the Great Clips machine, second.
What about that drive? He was all the way 3/4 of a lap down not long ago. He fought back from an ignition problem, switched it over. Now he's in second spot and pulling down on the leader.
And you know, we can't forget about Kevin Sawinski in this title chase because he's fourth. And if he has some good runs, he could be right back up there.
Yeah, and that car is dynamite.
To Brian Till.
Well, I just talked to Dion Deneau about Butch Miller. I said, do you have a car to do anything with? He gave me that very non-committal shrug and said, I don't know. They ran a bunch of laps yesterday on old tires and ran very fast and very consistently. Track conditions have changed, a little cooler, more cloud cover today. I think their setup may not be quite optimal.
Maybe not optimum, but he is going to have a good finish. But like we said, the BFG POV, Butch Miller is not here to run just good races. He's here to win.
Well, right at the moment, I don't think his car is the quickest car on the racetrack. I think your first two cars, and then Jason Boyd, who's sitting in fifth right now, has closed in and made this a real close race. And at one time there, he was about 15 car lengths back. So Jason Boyd still has a chance.
Butch Miller in the ASI 04. We're going to keep an eye on him, but some of the guys behind him having some pretty darn good runs as well. In fact, Russ Tuttle, our Marion County Sheriff from Indiana in the Conseco car. He's been in the top 10. Now he's just outside the top 10.
One tough customer, but I tell you, the car has gone away just a little bit on him in the last little bit, and one time all the way up to 7th.
Saw him at the Brickyard last week in Indianapolis. Jim Trado, what's going on?
Down here with his crew chief, Glenn Allen Jr., an experienced driver in his own right. Glenn, what have you guys done to the car? He's run very consistent today in the top 10.
Yeah, the car's been pretty good. The Conseco Mountain Dew, Monte Carlo's been pretty good. We lost a few spots here on the restart, but we got a pretty good race car. He's done a great job all day, really. We're just hoping to get out of here in one piece and get a top 10 finish. Track position's been key with all the crashes. Some fast cars got in the back, got better tires, but I think we're pretty good during the long haul.
In fact, the guy behind him, Gary St. Amant, the AC-Delco number 7, has fresher tires than Russ Tuttle, but Russ Tuttle being able to hold him off because Gary's car just ain't working good today.
Well, we talked to him earlier, and he said the car's just a little bit off. And on short tracks, it does not take but a 10th a lap, and you're pretty much out of it.
There is Jason Boyd still trying to march his way through the field in the 5th spot, but I think his progress has stalled a bit.
Yeah, I think he's got the red off his candy stick right now. And I think when he spun a while ago, he did some damage to the tires a little bit.
And that team has certainly struggled this year. Wayne Anderson in the car at Hawkeye Downs. Jeff Emery, boom, a hard hit. And then a little contact with Ed Brown at I-70 Speedway. Still Wayne Anderson in the car. Landry Potter and Wayne Anderson at La Crosse into the wall again. Battling with Joey Clanton. And around goes Jason Boyd. Man, he has had a tough break. That team, Wayne Anderson first, and now Jason Boyd in that Johnny King car. He's done. I don't think he's going to get up there. That car just not as quick as it was before he spun.
No, and that usually takes something away from the tires when you slide that much.
It's been pretty darn exciting here. Kevin Sawinski slows, but how about this? The last 50 laps here in ASA competition, a big crash. Doug Malik with some left front fender damage there. And then more cars go around. Brett Rowe, Ed Brown, and John Silverthorne. John Silverthorne in a couple of accidents. And then there goes Danny Fredrickson and Kevin Sawinski by the 07 car of Kyle Busch for the 5th spot, I might add. And there's Russ Tuttle and the Sequoia machine for Mike Garvey. David Strebe just behind. That a battle in the top 10. And there goes Jason Boyd running second. Whoop. Round he goes.
I like that. Whoop.
I don't know what comes out of my mouth sometimes. That, of course, the last 50 laps here Now with 25 laps to go, 26 laps to go. Joey Clanton, your leader.
Joey Clanton's the leader, but something happened to Kevin Sawinski about 3 laps back, and he dropped back almost a full straightaway from the 83 there. I do not know what happened. Butch Miller took over second.
Maybe some more ignition problems for the Great Clips team of Kevin Sawinski. He doesn't have much time to get back up there, but we'll give you the end of the race when we come back here in Toledo. The Metro Toledo Northwest Ohio Ford Dealers 300, presented by Sterling, the leader, Joey Clanton. And he is a hot driver here in ASA. You know what? He's had some problems here. You know, Jim Trado pointed out in the open of this show, buddy, he's had some problems here in Toledo, has not finished inside the top 10 here, and he's been very lucky this year as well. Sometimes better to be lucky than good, but Joey Clanton is both. These incidents at Irwindale Speedway in California, he spins just in front of him, but Joey just coasts right through. Like that with Peter Cozzolino at Hawkeye Downs Speedway. And then Wayne Anderson and Ed Brown at I-70. Joey scoots right by again. Joey Clanton certainly lucky as well as good here in ASA this year.
Yeah, he's very good, but you have to, it's a game of inches anyhow, and if you're in the wrong place at the right time, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you could see those cars spin around him, and there was nothing he could do. He just happened to go the right way.
15 laps to go. Clanton going to the inside of J.C. Beatty to put him down a lap. John Silverthorne just in front of him. Nowhere is the second place runner.
Yeah, and Joey Clanton started off this year winning 5 in a row. Then he missed 2 races that he didn't win. Then he won a bunch of races again. Let me tell you something. He's going to do something this year. He's working on winning 8 races already, and he really wants to beat the record set by Johnny Sauter last year, where he won 10 of the 20 events.
You know, Joey Clanton's just pretty darn competitive at anything he does. Played shuffleboard with him last night. When he was losing, he was mad. Go-kart racing, same deal. The battle for ninth, there's Kyle Busch and David Stremme still working each other over with Robbie Pyle just ahead of them. Actually, that is the battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th between those guys with 12 laps to go.
Yeah, and Robbie Pyle, for some reason, dropped off a little bit, and Jason Boyd got by him. This battle back here, these guys are going at it. Kyle Busch there in the 07, Stremme giving him a little help there as they got down in the corner, but didn't turn him.
Greg Williams, the lap car, they're going by the number 10 car. Man, interesting day for David Stremme. Good day for the Sitco team of Robbie Pyle. Maybe their 10th straight top 10 finish here. Talk about Mr. Consistency. Robbie Pyle and the guys, Bob Kumbow, the crew chief, man, they are certainly consistent this year, if anything else.
Yeah, and you have to be that to win, but it just seems that they're not there at the proper time to take advantage and maybe win the race, because right at the moment, nobody's going to beat Clanton unless he makes some mistakes.
How about that? If Clanton wins, St. Amant must finish 5th or better to keep the points lead.
So it's going to be a race right to the end, I hope. And these guys, both of them, real professionals at what they do. And Gary St. Amant not up to speed today. Car not the best you could have. He's in 12th spot right at the moment. But let me tell you, that car is probably in anybody else's hands would have been a 20th place car today.
St. Amant in 12th, as Buddy mentioned, has to finish 5th. Don't think he's going to do that with 7 laps to go. Just behind him is Pat Kelly, back out on the racetrack after removing the oil cooler from that race car a little earlier in this race. But Gary St. Amant has certainly struggled here today, but he's just trying to get that car around the racetrack, get it to the finish, and get as good of a finish as he can. That guy, though, is trying to win the race.
Yeah, and you watch him go around here, 6 to go. You see up there in the left-hand corner, smooth as can be. But Butch Miller is closing in a little bit. I don't know whether he has enough time, but the 04 Butch Miller is closing in just a little bit.
Bon Suss coaching Joey Clanton. You heard the radio communication just a moment ago. Here comes David Stremme on the inside of Robbie Pyle.
I'd call that a pass for a position there, because the inside has been a little bit quicker, but Pyle fighting hard to hold that spot. You see there, coming off the corner, shut the door on him, moved up a little bit, and took the spot away. Stremme on a move right now.
Stremme, with all he's been through, buddy, he is now 5th on the racetrack.
Yeah, and that's why he's 3rd in the points this year. He's been right there every race.
Now we let out Perry Cohorn, And the boys on that Meyer machine certainly coaching him here today. And now he's setting his sights on the Johnny King machine for Jason Boyd.
Jason Boyd looks in the mirror and says, I've had a war already. I spun myself out, but you can see right there, a little nudge getting in the corner. Stremme on the move.
Mike McGavin says he's never seen a guy like David Stremme. 1 lap to go. Joey Clanton going for his 8th win this year.
Down the back straightaway, just as smooth as can be. Down low, getting into turn 3. Bring him home.
Holy Toledo, Joey Clanton wins now. Oh, contact David Stremme. Sends the 86 around on the last lap. Stremme gets 4th. And the 86 machine limps to the start-finish line.
Yay.
Oh, Jim Trado, to you.
Bon Sus, congrats on your 8th win this season. You guys had the car that dominated again after a 4-race slump.
Yeah, I mean, we had some bad times there, but these guys keep working, and I think we showed what, you know, pretty much rookie team, what we're made of. You know, we were down in the dumps a little bit, had some problems, but these guys came fighting back, qualified 2nd, practiced really good. They didn't give up, and I think we showed everyone what we're made of today, and they did an awesome job.
Bob Dillner?
Well, David Stremme climbs from his machine. You saw a little fire there on the right front of the car.
Yeah, I'd say there's a fire in another car there. I'd say Jason Boyd has a little fire in his car, and it's him. I would say he's a little mad over that. I'm sure David Stremme did not mean to do it, but boy, that was a whack.
Well, you can see right there, David Stremme is not happy, and that guy probably not happy as well. We will have the story when we come back. And here it is, Stremme into the back of the Johnny King 86, buddy, ouch. Wow. We'll have the story when we come back in here in Toledo, and it will be a good one. We'll also talk to the man, 8 wins this year, Joey Clanton, of course, and the Campfire USA team. Coverage of the 2002 ASA Racing Series Championship is being brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires. Take control.
Well, Joey Clanton, what a drive here to Toledo, and all I can say is welcome back not only to victory lane, but welcome back to, I think, the top of the points.
They're happy.
This is awesome, man. This racetrack owed us one. They asked me before the race what it'd take to get this thing going again. I mean, this pavement gave us it. This thing was just awesome. The crew fought it all day long yesterday. We was loose. It took a good run to come in today. We were tight at the beginning. The long run came in. Car after about 10 laps, there wasn't nobody out there to touch us. Campfire USA, Steve Dale Motorsports. I mean, everybody on this crew has just worked hard all year long, and it's great to be back in the winner's circle.
Well, one more closer to that record.
We're shooting for it. I mean, we got Memphis next, and we know how to win there, so look out.
Joey Clanton with the thumbs up. Congratulations to him and the entire Steve Dale-owned team. Let's take a look at the final results. Jason Boyd winds up 7th, Mike Garvey 8th, Russ Tuttle back up at the 9th, and Todd Cleaver with another top 10 run. Danny Fredrickson just outside the top 11, and Gary St. Amant loses some points, buddy.
Yeah, he lost some points. The car never was right today.
Brett Rowe, Greg Stewart involved in some accidents, as was Joey Miller. Let's take a look at the last lap incident, buddy. I'm going to let you handle this one.
It's pretty simple right here. Boyd trying to stay on the bottom. He gets touched there, and then he gets whacked there. You can see Boyd going around. Stremme goes by on the left front there. A lot of damage, and I tell you, he lost a lot of positions there, Boyd did. And that was ugly. That's kind of like seeing a chocolate cake on the kitchen floor. It's not going to get pretty. We can look at it from now to the end of the show. It's still ugly.
Well, as they say, though, you can see the fire brewing on the Meyer machine, but the last lap, anything goes?
Well, I don't know.
A tap and a whack into Jim Trado.
We are standing by with a healthy David Stremme. Looks like you're okay after the brief fire.
Yeah, just disappointed in myself. You know, I didn't mean to get into Jason there, and you know, that's not my type of driving. And we had that incident early where we cut a tire, or actually got spun, and we were just trying to, you know, make positions and get back up there in the points. And, you know, I know he was loose. I was trying to get on the bottom, and I didn't even know it was the last lap. You know, we're running so hard there, and I just feel sorry for all his guys, because I know he was running very well. And you know, my Meyer guys, they worked hard, Howard and all the guys, but just disappointed in myself right now, you know. if we could do it over, I'd just rode there, you know. So.
Stremme does, however, pick up his 8th straight top 5 finish. Brian Till.
Well, Jason Boyd had a car that we thought could win, and I know that you thought could win too. And I'm sure David Stremme will tell you personally later. He said he was very disappointed in himself. How did you see that last lap?
Well, you know, I don't know. I want to thank Janie King, Grand American Race Cars, Augie, Frankie Grill, everybody to get me here, you know. The BF Goodwrench tires was holding up good today. I don't know really what happened. I mean, I had a good car all day long. I was running second behind Joey Clanton. I got up underneath him, the caution come out. I thought we had a car we could win, and then I just screwed up and pinched it off and lost it over there. So I spun around, and I should have really lined up in front of the one behind the 04 because I was at the line, but they put me back a few more spots. And I don't know if David just got in the gas too soon or what, but he just totally knocked me out coming up out of I mean, it wasn't like he was in contention to win. You know, why he had a good 5th place finish. Why you want to knock me out? I don't understand.
Well, I think, guys, we'll definitely see Jason Boyd in the winner's circle at some point in time. I thought we might see him there today.
Jason Boyd taking a swig of water, pours it over his head. Let's look at it again.
Well, it's going to look the same every time we see it. Let me say this about David Stremme, though. He's not that type of race car driver. There, he was trying to make the pass. He got in the left rear quarter a little hard. He touched him one time, and then the next time, he really gave him, you see right there, he got him first. Then this time, he really gave him a pretty good nudge there. And at that point on the racetrack, Boyd was along for the ride. And I know that David Stremme did not mean to do it, but it's going to look the same no matter how many times we look at it.
You can see it on his face, Jim Trado.
Butch Miller, you've got 3 wins this year. It appeared you had the dominant car today. What happened, and why couldn't you catch Joey at the end?
You know, I wish I could answer that question, because if I call a car perfect, our ASI car was just perfect today. I didn't want it looser, I didn't want it tighter. I wanted it right where I was. And he beat our best shot, so I guess we got to work in the garage a little bit harder.
Butch Miller picks up a very impressive podium finish here at Toledo, a track he's won at before.
He has finished in the top 10 in every single race he's run this year. In fact, now, what is it? It's now 6 out of the 7 races he's run, he's finished in the top 5.
Had he started out in the ASA this year, the points lead wouldn't even be close, I don't think.
It definitely would be a challenge between he and Joey Clanton and Gary St. Amant. We get a lot more action coming up for you here in this ASA season, including Memphis Motorsports Park in a couple of weeks, and then the State Fair race, and that's always a goodie, isn't it?
Yeehaw! Anything on a stick, I don't care. Pork chops, hot dogs, pizza, you name it.
For Buddy Baker, Jim Trado, Brian Till, this is Bob Dillner thanking you for joining us for the Ford Dealers 300. And reminding you, we'll be back in Memphis, Tennessee to mark the 3/4 mark, August 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on TNN. Congratulations, Joey and the boys.
Thank you very much.